Hi everybody, my name is Sandra Yap and I am here with Reuben Yap, and now in this video we will be discussing the story of Zcoin and what was the beginning like. All right, Reuben, so tell us about Zcoin. When did it first um when was it founded?
Well, Zcoin launched its mainnet in 2016, but I think it has its early history maybe in 2014, when Poramin, our founder, was a master's student at Johns Hopkins University, and he came across the zero coin paper. And his supervisor was actually Matthew Green, who was one of the authors of the zero coin paper and also the zero cash paper. And he said wow, this looks really cool. And his master's paper was actually about how to do a practical implementation of zero coin in the real world. So that was kind of how it began. And so Parman he's like a developer guy, right? And doesn't like, I wouldn't call him like a business person, right? He's also he started off from very humble beginnings in Thailand. When he went to the US, he had no contacts whatsoever. He was basically just a science dev guy, right? And this guy called Gary, who was a Thiel fellow. So that the Thiel fellowship, where apparently they pay you some money to quit college and develop your startup. And Gary approached Paramin and said, "Hey, why don't you develop this? We'll start a new cryptocurrency, and let's get it running. I'll take care of all the business side, the funding side. You take care of all the development side." And I think when Zcoin first started, it was actually called like Moneta, and was rebranded to Zcoin before launch, because of the zero coin paper. So yeah, that's kind of its beginnings. Of course, there were certain like small grants from like Startup Chile and one other thing, and there was uh, two initial seed investor, one which was Roger Ver and another guy who wishes to be anonymous. And it wasn't a lot of money, it's like definitely not
How
like,
much
wow,
was
yeah.
it at that time? Was it in Zcoin or was it
It was
in
in Bitcoin.
US?
It
Oh,
it was in
and
Bitcoin,
how much was
and
it worth, the funding?
I think like maybe like 100K US dollars or something like that. Roughly around there. It wasn't like a million or something like that. It was
And that
maybe
includes
a
Rogers and the other investors'
correct,
seed money?
correct. Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't. I mean, like it is some money, but it wasn't like a huge amount of money.
Yeah, it
This
wasn't
was,
like the 2017 ICO crazy
yeah,
ones.
millions of dollars. And Parmin just kind of like went with it, right? And he just let Gary take care of all of that. So actually, like even slightly before, even before Moneta was formed, actually Parmin wanted to build it as a merge mine coin of Vertcoin. So Parmin was actually the founder of Vertcoin, and which was at one time like a top 10 cryptocurrency, one of the earliest. I think it was the earliest to implement stealth addresses. So he wanted to say like, implement zero coin in a merge mine coin called Zero Vert, but the community didn't really like it, and the early implementation was kind of like really sluggish, so people weren't really interested in it. So when the community didn't really like it, he was like, okay, look, if I'm going to spend so much time on this, I need funding. And I think that's when Gary came in and had this Moneta thing. So I think those were like the early beginnings, and there was supposed to be like a 50-50 share between Gary and Paramin of the seed funding, but Gary kept the money and only gave like a little bit of Paramin. And I think the understanding was when Zcoin launched, that 50% share would be released to Paramin. So that was
Uh-huh.
kind of like the start of it. Yeah.
So did the founder rewards existed before the launch, or when was that established?
I mean, obviously, founder rewards can only exist after the coin launch, right? Because there's no coin to have founder rewards for. But when Zcoin launched, it started with a 20% block reward, part of the block reward that were given to the founders and seed
Hmm.
investors. So they were basically 5 wallets. The 2 co-founders, Roger, the other anonymous one, and there was one wallet that was kind of reserved for like promotional and marketing purposes. And that was like kind of the original. So 20% divided by 5, each had 4% each. And that was kind of like the beginning of that. Um, and supposedly we were supposed to start with whatever was left of the seed funding, right? And that's kind of like when the first kind of dispute happened and the first shit hit the fan moment came for Zcoin. Yeah.
Was that after the launch?
Yes, that was, I think, 1 month after the launch. And that's kind of like when, slightly after when I joined. So, I came in as a community manager and it was like, oh,
You
yeah,
came in the middle of the shit show happening.
yeah, I came in the middle of that. And then I was like, crap, now I have to do law again. Look at, and like, help, like kind of do all this sort
You
of
can't
stuff.
run away from that. Can't run away from that. So
Yeah,
what
but,
happened? What happened between Porman and Gary?
um, I'm going to word this very carefully because, of course, I don't want to like get anyone in trouble. But I think in short, um, there was a dispute as to Gary. So Gary and Paramin, there was that agreement, right? That gentleman's agreement that saying that Paramin should get 50% of whatever was the seed funding when Zcoin launched.
Mm-hmm.
But when Zcoin launched, Gary then said no. He said, uh, "I want to make sure that you continue developing for Zcoin and not just like bugger off. And therefore, why don't instead of giving you the 50% all upfront now, I give it over to you for the next 12 months or something like that." Which was already kind of like a breach of the agreement before, right?
Yeah.
Because like Permian has been actually kind of working on it for like already almost 2 years now, right?
And did not get paid at all
He was given some money. It wasn't a huge amount of money, like maybe like 10, 20,000 or something around
in the
that
2 years?
ballpark figures in those 2 years. And also, to be fair, I mean, as like Permin was actually, he actually wanted to launch Zcoin a lot earlier, but he really wanted to solve the trusted setup issue. So he wasted a lot of time trying to solve that issue until he was like, man, I think I need to launch something, even though I haven't solved this issue yet.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that first dispute came, and actually, Parliament surprisingly was like, of course, he wasn't happy. First of all, that was not what was the agreement, and then secondly, it was like, um, he actually agreed to say like, look, I'm okay to give this, but first of all, you need to show me that you still have that money. Like, show me
Okay.
proof that you have the
Yeah.
money that you used to have. And I don't really know what was the backs, like, what exactly happened in the back, but basically, Gary could not show that he had that money. So of course, like, well, how do I know I'm going to get paid, right? And of course, there was this whole distrust issue, right? Like what's going on there. And I also, as like, then I was like the community manager. I didn't feel Gary's presence. It was very like he would disappear for days, and like he didn't prepare for his interviews. I didn't see him really doing much, and I was like, wow, this is your project. Why don't you care more about it? And I
Yeah.
think one of the things that was like really affected me was like, he had a quite a high profile interview. I forgot with who, but it was also together with Fluffy Pony from Monero, and they were supposed to debate it out on like the benefits of Zcoin versus Monero. And I had told Gary like, look, Fluffy, he's a really smart guy. He knows his stuff. You better make sure you prepare. I mean, this is basic knowledge, right? And Fluffy is a really good, like he's really good at trolling, but he knows his stuff. So I said, you better prepare. And he didn't prepare and just absolutely got slaughtered during the interview. He didn't know one thing about it. And that made me like, wow, you don't care, right? I care. I actually did the research and stuff like that. I was like, this is really ridiculous. And
So hold on, let's go back to the money part. What
yeah,
happened?
so Parmin was really upset and saying like, look, you can't even show me where that money is. And I think Parmin then threatened to say, look, if you're not going to give me the money, I'm going to fork your founder's reward out because you're not giving me the money, right? So there was that dispute. And uh and when Gary saw that, I think he felt threatened and dumped whatever Zcoin he had, which caused a huge crash in the Zcoin price. Yeah.
Wow.
And then he then tried to, well, I mean, technically we're the fault, right? Yeah. But what happened was because there was another Chinese investor, Tim, who had offered to say, look, now that you don't have any money because Gary doesn't want to give it to you. And Gary's argument was that Poromin was not really a co-founder. He's just a contracted to build Zcoin. And I was like, oh wow, like, okay, whatever lah. That's his legal argument there. And
And so
this
Tim came in
Tim came
and
in.
Gary disappeared with
Well,
all
not
the
really
seed money,
disappeared. Yeah, he basically
or
went away with all the seed money. Tim gave us some sort of influx of money to continue developing, and we forked Gary's wallet out and replaced it with Tim's address. And that's kind of how
got it.
we kind of started. It wasn't like a huge sum of money, but it was still something that could keep us going. So that was like really, really appreciated.
Are
Yeah.
you able to disclose the amount?
No, I better not.
Okay.
Yeah. But it wasn't. I wouldn't say like it was a decent sum that could keep us going. And but I don't want to get into that. But at the end of the day, I think Tim really kind of saved our skins there. Yeah. Yeah.
And then Zcoin had a really good, achievement in 2017, achieving a high of
130,
140,
140.
140.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we went through some difficult times even before that because we
What
were
was the
very
price when Gary left?
what was the
When it was
price?
forked?
Maybe like $3. And I never, yeah. Now we're kind of like back there.
Well,
Well,
that's fine. I mean, the high was a good
really
achievement.
high, yeah. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else in the beginnings of Zcoin that you would like to share that I have missed out?
No, but actually, would just like to say that in when Z notes were implemented, I actually talked to the seed investors and saying that, look, if you want this project to grow, you have to halve your rewards because we need to be more decentralized. And although there was no legal obligation to do it, they actually agreed to actually cut their share of the founders reward by 50% and increase, well, we used to call it the promo wallet, now we call it the dev wallet, to increase that by 50%. And I think that really saved
Amazing.
us because we needed the funding to continue growing. And I think that was a really nice thing that the founders agreed to do. Yeah.
That's awesome. We'll talk about the milestones in the next video, but to sum everything up, that is the story of how Zcoin was founded and the drama that they had to go through. And, despite Gary running away with the seed money, which was not a lot anyway,
Well, I think better not say the word get running. Is more of like he felt that it was his, and there was a
okay,
dispute of
so Gary felt
who
it
should
was
own it.
his money.
Yeah.
Gary felt it was his money, and well, it was forked, and now here we are. With Reuben leading Zcoin, I think Zcoin can still achieve that $140. We
Yes,
believe in
yes.
you, Ruben. Be the parent. Be the parent. All right. In the next video, we are going to discuss Zcoin milestones. So if you want to check it out, continue with the series, as I shall call it. Yeah. Thank you again, Ruben, and we'll see you in the next video.